Can we talk for a minute about our Integrating Heart and Mind workshop?
Absolutely. I'm excited. It's coming up in the fall of 2024.
I'm so excited. We changed the format to make it more accessible to people with like work schedules and personal schedules. And so this time we're going to do it 3 hours on a Friday afternoon or evening, depending on where you're at, and 5 hours on Saturday for 2 different weeks in September.
Yeah, and it's so great. Like if you're finding yourself stuck in like sticky bad patterns or having communication issues or something like that, or if you want to just like get closer and trust yourself or your partner more, this is the workshop for you.
Yeah, and individuals are welcome, couples are welcome. If you're interested in really thinking through how to serve yourself well inside of your relationships, then we've built a workshop that will support you in finding the ways that are just right for you.
To sign up, head over to our website at whydoesmypartner.com/events.
We hope you'll join us.
Welcome to the Why Does My Partner podcast. I'm Jules.
I'm Vicky.
And I'm Rebecca. We're your hosts. We're also couples therapists and messy humans bumbling through our own relationships every day.
We met at a training, and our secret sauce is that we and our partners became fast friends.
Between us, we have more than 40 years of experience holding hard relational questions with our clients.
We're going to bring those questions here, and together, we're going to take a stab at answering those questions.
This podcast is not a substitute for couples therapy. If something you hear in this podcast stirs something deep within you about your relationship, reach out to a couples therapist in your area.
We'd also love to hear your questions, so don't forget to go over to whydoesmypartner.com to leave a question of your own. Here's today's question. Why does my partner feel offended or get upset when I don't listen to his advice, and then another person in my life gives me that same advice, and I hook onto it and I listen? What's happening there for me? And what's happening in my partner that he takes it so personal? Is it a lack of psychological boundaries? If the tables were turned, I don't think I would care.
Can I just say how much I love that this caller listener is asking both?
Yeah.
Like what's happening for me and my partner? Like she's already like volunteering. I think it's a she. Sorry that I'm assuming that, but like she's asking for the U-turn.
Yeah. And
Like,
by the way, we on
such
video
curiosity
over here
there.
are doing celebration dances for you.
Yes.
That this is happening.
Just the
We
question.
love
We're loving the
that.
question.
Yeah.
We love the way it's phrased. We're loving the U-turn that's already implied. So let's start
I'm
with
also
each
just
piece
loving
of
the
it. Yeah.
there's so much curiosity in this question,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Which is kind of where we left
Mhm.
off on our last episode. So I'm kind of like catching that curiosity bug a little bit here.
Mhm.
But I'm catching that inside of the way that this listener is asking the question, there's both like, okay, so here's a recognition of a pattern that's showing up. A, I'm not really sure why I'm doing this. And B, I'm not really sure why it's getting under my partner's skin. It might not get under my skin. Is this something about my partner's boundaries being off? Or like, is there, what's happening here? Right?
Mhm.
So like,
Yeah.
that's kind of how I'm hearing this question. Is that what you guys are getting to?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And I want to break it down into piece by piece because I think differentiating
Yeah.
like that can make it feel really clear. So let's start with, okay, why would it be that we might listen to advice from a partner, later on listen to the same advice from some friend, and then follow the friend's version of the advice and not follow the partner's version of the advice? Why would that happen? So let's just start by breaking that one
Totally.
down.
Let's start right there.
Mhm.
Because I think it's such an interesting one, right? Like one piece is that sometimes we need to hear the same thing, I don't know, 100 and 110 times before we're
Yeah,
going
I
to
do.
actually hear it,
I do.
right?
Yeah.
Like it just,
Yes.
it takes a while to digest, to register.
Mhm.
So that's one
Mhm.
part.
I
Yeah.
think there might be another part too. Another, like not different, but another, or not instead of, that if I've heard something twice or 3 times, it hits me harder of like the truth of it. Oh, it's not just that one person thought this. Here's another person that thinks it.
Yeah.
And so
Mhm.
it just becomes, it does become more valid in my mind that way because it's been echoed more.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's also sometimes easier to take in things that are, especially advice from people who maybe aren't our intimate partner. Sometimes it's a little bit tougher. And if it is, it's
More
fine.
more
It's not
vulnerable.
weird. Yeah, it's more vulnerable, but I think it's also like all our old stuff from childhood is kicked up in those romantic partnerships. And so it can feel like shaming, old defiant stuff like, you can't tell me what to do. Parental stuff can show up in partnerships that doesn't show up in our friendships as much, or in work relationships. Or I'm thinking lately of a piece of advice that I got from a friend of mine. And I followed it from her. And I think my husband has probably told me some version of the exact same thing at least 50 times. But somehow hearing it from her felt easier to take in.
Yeah. It's like it happens in my
Yeah.
relationship all the time too. And I think sometimes it's like when my partner is saying it, especially if he really knows me and he really knows this pattern or this thing and he's witnessing it, there's something about it that's kind of more raw than if one of you were to say the same thing to me and notice the same pattern. I might even have the recognition like, oh yeah, James has brought that up before. But it feels different. It lands in my nervous system differently because of the relationship that it's coming from. Like sometimes he's the only person that can tell me something. He's the only one that I'll hear it from. And then there are other times where he's the only person that can't tell me the thing.
I will not listen to you if you say it. Yeah, totally. And that is a common thing. And so if that's happening between you, naming it and just laughing together about it can be really handy. I don't know if your partner, it sounds like maybe he's not in a space where laughing is really available to him around this yet, but maybe it could be one day. And we could, over time, develop a sort of comic relationship with this.
Right.
Certainly possible. And, I think it too, this is another reason it could happen, is when we do spend a lot of time around our intimate partner, it can be easy to take in, a small percentage of what's actually being said. So it may not even be heard.
Right. Because we're just not tuning into everything all the time.
Right.
Oh, I thought that was just in my relationship. He tunes me out a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
That's what we do.
We do.
That's good to know.
It's like I don't hear the noise that the fridge makes when it's making ice in my house.
Yeah.
I don't typically hear that noise. It's happening all the time.
Because I don't live
I
there.
do.
Right. But I used to live in Jersey City and I had a church right outside my bedroom window. And the church bells every morning were going off. And I didn't hear them. But I always knew what time of day it was. But I never heard the bells.
Yeah. That's just part of how our brains are processing the information because
it becomes the silence around me. It becomes the stuff that I'm used to.
Yeah.
And
you
our
can't
partners
actually pay
do
attention
too.
to everything.
Right. So our partners become part of the noise.
Background noise.
Yeah, the white noise. The white noise.
Right.
Or the gray noise or whatever. Yeah, you're just not filtering it all.
And by the way, this reminds me of the Modern Family episode. There is a Modern Family episode about this question.
Yeah.
It cracks me up. It was about a wedge salad. And she had told Phil, Claire had told Phil over and over again about the delights of a wedge salad. And he had always ignored her. And then he comes home one day and he had been out to lunch and a friend had advised him to order the wedge salad. And he was so delighted to share with her how amazing wedge salad is. And she just blew up. But he has no idea why she's upset. She's like, you know what you did?
It's like the most obvious thing to her.
But what had happened is he just, it had been so much stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Had been happening. It's like, oh, he's just tuning out that one thing when actually he's paying attention to 1,000 other things. So that could be happening for you too. I just want to give a note to, there's a lot to pay attention to in a partnership. You might be missing it.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the second part. what on earth is happening with your partner? Why is he getting this upset?
Well, yeah, that could be boundary work right there. Like
It could be.
It could be.
Could be.
But it could also be like, I don't know. I'm still back in the curiosity from last week's question. Like, the curiosity around like, why is he getting upset?
Yeah.
Like what's hurting about this?
Yeah, well, probably this moment means something to him. And it's that meaning that he's getting upset about. So the curiosity is going to be pointed towards the meaning. So it could be like, this is evidence I don't matter to you. It could be, this is evidence in my brain that means you don't respect me, or that I'm not going to be listened to in this relationship.
Okay, that just gave me like a little, like, I had a little reactivity to that. And I'm just noticing that reactivity that showed up as I'm hearing you talk about the respect piece. Because I'm catching that we all carry different like learnings in our psychological floor, right? Like in the way that we learn to be in the world. We talk about this, right? Like this is one of the things we talk about and teach. We carry these different learnings, and sometimes those learnings are about systems or ways that people hold power over others, like patriarchal systems, right?
Yeah.
And how might that be showing up inside of a relationship? And so is there a learning that is sticky in that kind of way? Right? That's just kind of like, is that maybe part of what's happening here? Can we be curious about that?
It could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be, because it could be like, oh, this is about me being taken seriously or respected in my smarts, or respected in my wisdom, or hey, do I have influence on you and shouldn't I? Right? So there could be
as your primary
stickiness and
partner,
all
shouldn't
sorts of
I?
stuff.
Right, because there's this like authoritarian kind of maybe space that it
can
could
be.
take.
It
It
can,
could.
yeah.
I'm not saying it does in this partnership, but I'm saying that like if that's
one of the possibilities,
if that's the feeling that's coming up.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know that what's coming up inside of this partnership. If that's the feeling that's coming up, there might be some information there too about what to explore. About what to explore.
It's always something we want to be curious about, because your psychological floor is made up absolutely of all these early experiences that you have at your home and in schools, with peers, with early partnerships. All that's true. And also, the systemic context in which you are sitting is also going to be part of the psychological floor on which you're walking. So whatever you know about that, is going to be part of it.
I also find myself thinking with the curiosity piece, I don't know why I'm thinking this. I'm wondering if the partner even knows why he gets, I don't think it said defensive, but he might not even know why. Like, I know if I asked Gabe, what's the meaning behind this? Why is it upsetting you? Depending on his mood, he might say, I don't know, it just is. So it's even, could the partner get curious about his own self as well to look into, am I having a big reaction to this? And maybe he thinks he's not. But could I do some investigating on my own of like, what could this be about for me?
Yeah.
What is this?
Yeah.
What does it kick up for me that she's not listening to me and she listens to other people?
Right. And then once you find that out, you absolutely could do some psychological boundary work here. So how you would do that, and if you need to know more about that, if this is a new concept for you, we did a whole mini series on boundaries. Feel free to go to the boundary mini series.
And
buy a book. I wrote
a book
about a thing. I wrote a book about a thing. Feel free to buy my book.
Yes, it is called,
we have a workshop coming up. And we have a workshop coming up.
And there's a book and there's a workshop.
Yes.
Right? So the book is Setting Boundaries That Stick, and the workshop is Integrating Mind and Heart. And inside that workshop, we teach these skills too. So there's we have a podcast series for you to go back to and listen to, right? We have Jules's book that you can pick up a copy of, Setting Boundaries That Stick. And we have a workshop that's coming up in September of 2024, where we will go through this stuff with you and help you get it into your practices and into your bones. So there's lots of different touch points here. If what we're saying is going kind of quick, we've got lots of ways for you to dig in deeper with us.
Yeah, yeah.
And the workshop will also go over repair too, because you can have amazing repair conversations around this. Well, and Jules, according to you, they even did the repair conversation on that Modern Family episode.
They did. It was so sweet.
I just think it's cute that we're quoting a TV show, but I watch TV all the time as well. So I get it.
It's a sweet little episode. Well, they figured out together, oh, this is what's upsetting. And then he's confused. He's like, wait, why is this so upsetting? And she goes, because you never let me influence you.
Oh.
And he goes, oh, that's what it is. And so he gets out a photo album and he flips through pictures from when they first met and shows her all the different ways she has influenced him over the course of their time together. Look at this stupid earring I used to wear, and you told me to take it out, and then I did. And look at this haircut I used to have. Do you remember how bad that was? Oh, look at that terrible shirt. I don't wear that anymore because of you. Look at all these things that I can do in my career because you've been encouraging me and holding our children. Look at all this influence you have over my life. And so
sweet.
Once you find, oh yeah, there's the meaning. Oh, you think I think you're not smart.
Let me show you all the ways that I see you as. Yeah.
Yeah, stick that on the other side of your psychological boundary. There's the psychological boundary work part. And in the repair part, oh, is that the worry? Let me show you all these ways that I've already proved to you. You don't need to be worried about that.
Yeah.
And that can be a lovely repair conversation. And it's not to prove you wrong. It's not like oh, let me show you. It's more like, oh, of course it came up like that. Oh, let me reassure you.
Right. Can we just blow that up and maybe land there? Right. It's not let me show you. It's let me reassure you.
It's not trying to prove you wrong.
Right. It's about reassurance, not proving.
Yeah.
Right?
So it starts with a curiosity and an of courseness. Oh, it makes sense how you might see it that way. Oh, I get how that meant like that to you. And then let me reassure you.
The healing can happen, does happen when you can get to the meat underneath.
Yeah. Well, when you find those mismatched meanings, right? Because if what we're going for here is, it doesn't feel like you want to know me, or
maybe it doesn't feel like you take me seriously.
It doesn't feel like you take me seriously. Yeah, that's a better one, right? So if the meaning here is it doesn't feel like you take me seriously, or you don't have influence over me, right? You don't let me have influence over you. Then when we flip it in the repair, and it's not like I'm not trying to show you all the ways that you have influence or that I take you seriously, but it's that let me reassure you that you have influenced me and that I do take you seriously. Right?
That you matter to me.
Yeah, the energy is what flips.
Yeah.
Right? It's an energetic shift. And that's where the healing happens. Because we're not so stuck on the my way is right. And we're more open to the possibility of, oh, there's maybe a different meaning that this has here. Right? This idea around influence doesn't have to be that I don't have it. It could be here the ways I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And if you wanted to start a meta conversation about it, and this was a good fit for you and your partner, and this is something that's happening in your own partnership, you can even watch the Modern Family episode together and then chat about how it shows up in your life, because it is a very cute episode. It's adorable.
I'm going to go watch it because I haven't seen it.
I think I did see it, and I'm still going to go watch it again.
Maybe we'll put a link in the show notes. Take care, you all. We'll be back next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye. That wraps up this week's episode. Join us again next week for another Why Does My Partner? We hope that you continue to listen wherever you get your audio and that you'll follow the show. To go deeper, join us at one of our workshops. You'll find our next date at whydoesmypartner.com.
Did you know you can ask us your questions? Your questions are relational gold. Go to whydoesmypartner.com to either write in or record your question for a future episode.
And here are some gratitudes. Thanks to Al Hoberman, our sound editor and podcast production magic maker, our audio intern, Cole Rickman, and to every one of you who has joined us for our workshops in the past. We've learned so much from all of you.
If you're enjoying these conversations, please subscribe, rate, and especially please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen.
Thanks so much for listening to Why Does My Partner? Take care of each other best you can.
See you next time.